good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world that you find yourself. I say hi to you. You are welcome to my world. You are welcome to my channel, Save a Child, Preserve Humanity. The name still remains Okonji Christopher. I'm a human rights activist. In the area of the education and health of the child in all its ramifications. That's to tell you that I stand for the child. I'm actually advocating, for the good education and health of one child. You see, there's a child that is educated and had a healthy mind is a child that is sound and that is going somewhere. I'm advocating for that. That's my mindset. I'm also an advocate for a better Nigeria. Each time you hear me talk about New Nigeria, is something that I believe is not just a passion, but is a vision that God laid in my heart 27 years ago precisely. I just believe that this present Nigeria, you agree with me, is dead already and is already buried. But I still believe there's a new Nigeria, which God is the builder, maker, and founder. I look forward to it with every ounce of blood that flows in me. So each time you hear me, I herald that word. A new Nigeria of my dream. So there's a new Nigeria that is coming. Just like what it is heralded in the Bible, say a new Jerusalem. The people should look forward to a new Jerusalem, which means the Jerusalem that was there before does not have the capacity, to do the will and the purposes of God. So the new Nigeria I'm looking forward to right now is that has capacity. That is devoid of nepotism, that is devoid of maladministration, that is devoid of all forms of religious bigotry, that is devoid of nepotism, that is devoid of kidnapping, that is devoid of ritual killing. All these social vices that is found in this present Nigeria cannot be found in that new Nigeria that I look forward to. So I enjoin you to join force with me while you agree with me for us to look forward to that new Nigeria of our dream. Once again, you are welcome to this channel. I sit on behalf of Save the Education and Health of the Child Foundation. So if you are just joining me, please, I enjoin you as you stay tuned for these few moments we are going to be spending together. Is it an hour or so, or for 5 minutes or so? I can see someone joining me right now. Please, you are welcome to this channel. Please, I enjoin you to stay tuned. Make sure you are part of what is going to happen here this evening. I'm telling you, you won't regret for your time that you are giving. Every time you are going to be spending here with me will be worth it. You will get value for the time that you have given for such a program like this. So as you stay tuned, thank you, my brother. Thank you, my sister, for joining. I can see you coming in at this point in time. Please make sure you like this channel. Make sure you comment. As you comment, you are also subscribing. As you subscribe, you are also sharing. Because if you are doing that, you are making the work that we're doing in here go viral. It needs to the work we're doing here needs to go to the four corners of the earth. Because the Bible says the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein, and everything that is in the earth. So what we're doing here is all encompassing. No one talks about a child, that is just a nominal person. When you talk about a child, you are hitting the core of humanity. Because we don't have children in our mix, then there's no next generation. So whatever we are doing in here in this channel, we are doing it for posterity's sake. I'm telling you, posterity will not forgive us if we don't, pass the buck. Pass the truth to our children. See, we're not willing. I'm not willing to leave dollars, pounds, sterlings, shillings, and whatever you call it, naira, or whatever you call it, to the next generation. But we want to pass values to the next generation, because it's only values that can hold our children glue. That can make us have good leadership from this country and whatever country that we find ourselves. The children are the leaders of tomorrow. So once again, I say welcome, and I'm telling you, God will bless you as you stay tuned as we go. Today I'll be talking actually about is it really by force for me to belong to a family? Well, it's a very controversial word. You will say, is it really by force that I must belong to a family? Is it a must that I must belong to a family? or you say childhood, or you look at childhood. Childhood, is it a blessing or a curse? I don't know what your childhood days are. Is childhood, I mean, like they say, adulthood. It's when you have come to a time of maturity in life. But do we also see that? Do we also understand that no one, fell from heaven? Every human being that God created, every human being that has graced this earth, and the ones that are presently coming, I'm telling you, we pass through a process of childhood. Everyone passed through a process, of going through a family. So you see, and it is said that a family is the bedrock of our society. The family is the bedrock of our society, and childhood is one orientation of life that every human being that has graced this earth, great and mighty, small and big, will pass through childhood. No one fell from heaven. God did not throw any human being from heaven to fall on earth. No, went through a process. The process of, having a father, having a mother, somebody to father you, somebody to mother you. And when you have a father and a mother, that's a family. That is a home. A home, I always said in this place to differentiate the two. A home is not a house. A home is where a family lives, is where a family is nurtured. A home is where a child is being brought up with love. With care, with understanding, with maturity. So a home is a place whereby the child is nurtured until he comes of age, when he is sent into the outer world. So a home is not a building. A home is where love nurtured life, where it brings life to a place of maturity. A house is where a family lives in. A house is that building where the family lives in, where they find comfort. A house is where you find chairs, tables, and television and everything. That is the description of a house. But what I want to make us see here, the importance of a home. Everybody, by the special grace of God, is graced to come out from a home. If you see, they didn't just pick you from the street. I don't suffice me to say, some people are picked in the street. If you are privileged, you are a less privileged child, you are seen. Thank you for, still coming in. But as you come in, please make sure you hang on. I'm telling you, you are going to be having value for every time you are spending here. So what am I trying to say? What I'm saying is that a home is valued because that's the place where life is being nurtured. That's the place whereby a life is being molded. That is the place whereby the new generation is being puts impact is being put into their lives before they go into the larger world. So what we're talking about today is childhood a blessing or a curse? I leave that question to you, or you will be unfolding that question that I just asked right now as we go on in this program. So I've taken time to define who a child is. I'm saying that for necessity's sake. Peradventure, the people you are out there, you don't know the age limit of the people, the the persons or a group of human beings that we are trying to talk about here is a child. Well, from our definition of who a child is, who is a child? A child is not an adult. A child is a young human being, born into the earth. A child can be defined as someone from 0 to 18. You see, the definition of a child or who a child is still growing from one country to the other. You see, in Europe and America, they still look at it, differently. But in Africa here, we know that someone that is from 0 to 18 is said to be a child. So you see, that is what I'm looking at. That person that is a child that is growing up. Everyone that is born of God is bound to grow. It's just a matter of time, giving them the right environment, they will grow. You planting a corn, under a good fertile soil, giving all the necessary nutrients that it needs, the sunlight there and the water. I'm telling you, it's a matter of time. When you plant that corn in 3 or 4 months' time, you are harvesting. It depends on the kind of crop you are planting. All it needs is a good environment to grow. So every child also needs a good environment. A luscious environment, a loving and a caring environment for them to spring up. So you see, you can see the children that we have. Children that grow from different homes. You can categorize children that grow from different homes. You can know where a child is coming from based on where he is nurtured. So but what we're looking at right now is childhood, period. Is it a curse or a blessing? Let's take it from this level. Let's look at who the life of the life that is entailed of somebody that is a child that is growing up. So growing up is a process. God that created the heavens and the earth is a God of time, purpose, and objectivity. God is a God of also process. So a child that is born, it needs all the necessary things. The necessary environment, the necessary nutrients for it to grow to adulthood. But what I'm trying to look at right now is that childhood time of growing up. So like I'm saying, no one fell from heaven. We all pass through that process. We are privileged. We're privileged to pass through that process of childhood. How did you grow when you were? How was your childhood days? I don't know about you. I don't know about your childhood days, but I'll talk a little bit about my own childhood days. Well, I would say, some people, their childhood, growing up as a child they will say, I had a nice time while growing up. Or some would say, my growing up I went through a lot of, I don't know what to say, difficulty while growing up as a child. My childhood days was not sweet. People tell stories like that. So, but one thing I want to make us understand is that it's a process. So every process you pass through from childhood to adults has a way of molding you spiritually or physically. That's what we're trying to look at right now. Let me look at myself in that order. I was born into a family, where I was born into a family raised by a single mom, and I know what it is. We're a family. I lived for you. Maybe with time you get to know more about me. I was born in Plateau State, so I born in that area while growing up, so growing up in that area where I find myself, growing up with a single mother, but it takes two to build a home. It takes two to have a home. It takes two to raise a child. But a child that is raised by a single mother cannot be compared with a child that is raised with both parents. Some will say, well, a child needs love from both parents. But both parents has a part. They have a place to play in molding the child. That's why you see that's where a home comes from. A home is a place whereby a child is loved, nurtured, and brought up. So when a child is brought up by a single mother, I'm telling you, the child does not have all the nutrients. It does not have all it needs to grow up from father and mother. So I find myself in that situation. I was raised by the grace of God. I thank God for that, for coming from a family of 5 boys and a girl who were raised by a single mother that loved God so much. And thank God for her. She has gone to be with the Lord. So childhood days was, we growing up without our parents, but living with our single mother was all struggle for survival. If you understand what I'm trying to say. So it was all struggle for survival. A single mother, doing the work of God and trying to raise her children. So life is struggle for the survivor. We struggled and it was not easy. So if you ask me, I'll tell you my childhood days it's not something to write home about, because why? There was no two people there. Father and mother to give you that love and that direction. What I'm trying to say here is that it takes two to raise a child. It takes two to raise a child. It is said that children that are raised by complete parents, father and mother, has a way of growing spiritually and physically, because they are nurtured from both parts. Because God that set the perimeter of a family, He made it so happen that it takes two to raise a home. I talked about a home earlier. A home is not a house. A home is where love is dished out to everyone. So when you are raised with both parents, there's a way that there's a koinonia that goes in that home, because you are not raised by one party. You are raised by both your father and your mother. So when you are raised, you begin to learn so much from both. You ought to learn from father and you learn from your mother. But for me, it was not so. like I said, it was survival for the fittest because, imagine we're 5 boys, 1 girl. So you see, it was we struggling. To make sure we come up as adults, and to God be the glory, we were able to swim out of it. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that to be strong, to be alive. You ask me, what about children that are not raised by any parents? There are children that are in the street. There are children that have no parental guidance. In whatever way, no parent, no father, no mother, they still survive. But what I'm trying to say is that it depends on how your childhood days molded you. So what we're saying right now is that the condition in which you raise has a way of molding you. So I would say, well, he molded me in what aspect? While growing up as a young man, he made me more independent. He strengthened me the more. And I would say that by the grace of God, it made me come closer to God. I discovered God for myself. Thank God for my mom that was spiritually minded. She helped me in a certain way, but it was all you. Our level of growth was that we're trying to get things for ourselves, because there's no guidance of the Father that was there to tell you this is how it's going to be, this is not how it's going to be. So it was we trying to discover ourselves. You see, from childhood, you don't know much about yourself. It's a stage of trying to discover yourself, trying to know who you are, trying to know what God has put inside of you. So imagine us going to school. Going to school was something else. Our mother does not have it all, but she tried. She made sure she nurtured and brought 6 of us up. And to God be the glory. We're all, scattered all over the world. We are doing well, So, but that is, one level of growing up as a child. But one thing I want to bring out in my childhood days is that I will say that I didn't regret being raised by a single mother, because you see, anything that you came out from, whatever past, any condition you find yourself, you need to thank God. God say in everything give thanks to Him. In everything give thanks to Him. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17. He said in all things give thanks to the Father, for it's the will of God for you. So it's the will of God. Whatever condition you find yourself, you are being nurtured to grow up. As a child. But what I'm trying to look at here is that I say growing up as a child, is childhood a blessing or a curse? I want to look at it from my own area. I won't say it's a curse being raised by a single mother. Its destiny has placed me to come out from that realm of life. So I won't say it's a curse, but rather it's a blessing. It's a blessing because today my life has amounted to something. I can stand, and preach the word of God. So childhood days has molded me. Has given me. I discovered God for myself through my mom. I was able to discover God at that early age. So I'm using myself as a yardstick right now. So struggling to grow up helped me to discover God for myself through the help of my mom. So at my early age at the early age where my mom has to send me to go stay with my grandmom in Warri. So I went there. I have an opportunity at that early age of 13, 14. I went there to take care of my grandmom. I'm just telling you my own experience. So that was my first experience of being a caregiver. What am I saying about a caregiver? I went there to take care of my grandmom because there was nobody to stay with her. I don't know. You are growing up as a child right now. You find yourself in that situation. I'm telling you, they are sending you home. Go and I was living in Jos, but my mom has to send me back. Go to Warri and stay with your grandmother. Help her up. There was nobody to stay with her, and I went there. I did not complain. I loved it. Left school at early age, went there, spent some time with her, and I have to come back to Jos. To continue. Why I came back is because I have to continue my education. Thank you for joining me at this moment. Anthony, I can see you. Say Anthony Olu. Thank you, my brother. That's my teacher, my YouTube teacher. You are welcome. Please, thank you for coming in at this moment. I appreciate your presence. Please make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and at the same time share. So what am I trying to thank you also? I can see you coming in. I see you. Please stay tuned. So what am I trying to say? So when the reason why I came back from Warri to Jos was because I have to continue my school. So I came back and I hooked up to school again, you know. So, but the experience I got, the exposure I get is that at early age, I was exposed into life. Thank you for joining me. Once again, I see you there. I appreciate your coming in. Please stay tuned. I mean, and make sure you hang on to us. Please make sure you give me a thumb up. Thank you very much. I can see that thumb up, brother Tony. You are blessed. So, coming back, I had to continue education. So I would say at my childhood time, growing up as a child, it was an experience for me. What am I trying to say? I was able to travel at that early age of 14, 15. It was a wonderful experience. They say traveling is part of of education. So I had it at that early age, traveling, going and coming, and it was quite a good experience for me. It nurtured me, So he gave me so much strength, inner strength to hold on. Imagine you leaving your mom at that early age to go stay with your grandmom. So that gave me an experience to be a caregiver, because I was caring for my grandmom. So so that is an experience on its own. So after finishing secondary school, I had my first exposure. I will get to tell this as time goes on. Maybe as I explain the vision of Save the Education Ahead of Child Foundation, you will get to hear more about. Okonji Christopher, because you need to know me better. As you know me better, we rub minds together. You know where I'm coming from. You know the vision that is burning in my heart. But what I'm trying to say here, I'm talking about childhood days. So my childhood days was, I won't say it was bad. It was not a curse, it was a blessing. Because the Bible said everything worketh for good to them that are called according by his name. So I believe my childhood day was challenging. Some are born with a silver spoon. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I have to discover myself. So to God be the glory. Thank you very much for joining me. I can see you there. Please, sorry if I don't pronounce your name very well, but I can see you're online with us. Somebody TV, I can see you. Thank you for hanging on. So I'm talking about my childhood days. I'm trying to relate it with somebody. You see, all I'm saying is that nobody, was thrown from heaven. We were all born into this earth one day as a little baby. We are not born as a little baby. You began to grow like that little ant. You are growing like that little ant. Your parents were nurturing you. See, the beauty that you have growing up is not the beauty that someone else out there have. So I salute you for those of you that were born with silver spoons. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I have to discover myself for myself. So if you are in the same shoes with me, give me a thumb up. You discovered yourself, and life has not, you say life has not treated you well, but I'm not saying childhood is a curse. It's a blessing. Because as long as you are alive, it's a blessing. There are some that are in the street. Today they are dead. They couldn't live to see the next age. I'm not a child. Looking at me, I'm not a child. I've grown up from that struggle to come up, get married, have children. So I would say childhood is not a curse, it's a blessing. So one fact I want to bring out here again is to let us know that, everyone childhood is different. I don't know what your childhood is. If I don't use my example of a childhood to you out there, then I have not said anything, because they say charity begins at home. So I'm talking about childhood. Is it a curse or a blessing? Or must I belong to a family? You see, no one fell from the tree. No one fell. God did not throw you from heaven and you landed on earth. No, you did not land from earth, and you did not land from heaven to earth. You went through a process of a family. So a family, you must belong to a family. Everyone born of God must go. That is the process that God has put in place. You must belong to a family. You must belong to you must have a father and a mother that gave birth to you. If one of them had died, the other one took care of you. So it's a privilege that you had. Some did not have it. So I don't know what your childhood days is. Some people, their childhood days, that they were born with silver spoon. They were fed with silver spoon. They were spoon fed. I give you a thumb up if you are that kind of person. But I'm telling you, I'm not saying, I don't know about you. I don't want you to go to that level and say, I don't know what your childhood days is. Don't curse your childhood days. If your childhood days is not a curse, to me, it's a blessing. Because why? Whatever process of childhood you have gone through today, we have passed through, and you have become an adult today, has a great impact in your life. No one that passed through it. You see, your childhood days has a great impact over your life. I will show you in the Bible. in a jiffy, I will take you to the Bible, and we're going to go into the story of of Joseph. Joseph's story is a very prominent story in the Bible. In a minute, I will go in there. You will see what I mean by what a childhood. Growing up as a child. As a child, your childhood day, is it a blessing or a curse? You will see it. So what we're trying to say here is that, please, whatever situation that life has placed on you, just be grateful to God, because as long as you are still alive, I'm telling you, no matter the level of, the magnitude of what you went through as a child, I'm telling you, is not a cause. Some people were abused when they were children. Yes, I've seen 3-year-old children have been abused, sexually abused. So I don't know what your childhood days is. I've seen some children that were maltreated during their childhood days. I've seen some children that have been misused. You see, let's define it very well. When I say abuse is the wrongful use of anything. So it's also applied to the child. When you use the child out of the context of how the child should be used, you have abused him. What am I trying to say? You see, abuse is something that is different from different geographical location. See, what you call abuse in Africa might not be obtainable, might not be called abuse in Europe. Don't we send our children to go and sell pure water in the street? Especially, don't we send our children to go and hawk for us? Don't we send them on errand? Don't we send them to go and hawk for us? I'm telling you, that is child labor. That is abuse on its own in Africa. You dare not do that in Europe. The white man sees that as misusing the child. But in Africa, where there's so much poverty, we felt that from a child, you should be able to contribute to make sure that, you contribute to the upkeep of the family. So there's a family. One thing I want to have in mind is that, you see, there must always be a family. No one fell from the tree. No one fell from heaven. No one, just found himself. You from a child, you became an adult. No, you came out from a family. You went through the process of a child. You were being nurtured, you were loved, or you were abused. Right? I look at it the other way. You are abused one way or the other, and you are regretting your childhood days. Don't regret it. No matter what the insult and the injury that your childhood had inflicted upon you, you have grown up as an adult is enough to say, God, I thank you that I survived it. Why am I saying this? There are some that go even less than what you went through as a child. They were no more today. So if you're alive, I would say that your childhood days, no matter how bad or sweet, I've used myself as an example right now. Your childhood days, no matter how bad or sweet it is, it has an impact in your life. You agree with me? That strong man that you find that you are today, I'm telling you, is your childhood that molded you. That spoiled child, that spoiled brat child that you are, is your childhood that has brought you that level. You are not able to hold yourself. There are children that cannot live without their parents. There are children that cannot survive. I survived the heat without my mom. I survived the heat without my father. I live, I did not die. I've gotten to this age, which means childhood days was not a curse. It was a blessing. But to many people, it means different things. I will give us an example, for us to see somebody in the Bible that childhood days, was something, that causes a rift in his life. That causes a rift in the life of that person. So let's look at the life of Joseph. Joseph was a very distinguished character in the Bible that we all know. Joseph was a young man, the favorite child of Jacob. Jacob was Israel. The strength of Israel at that time. We all know the story. Let me go to Genesis chapter 37. Genesis was, it was just, Genesis chapter 17. 37. Let me look at Genesis 37. Let's look at what Genesis 37 is telling us here. Let's look at it. Genesis 37, we'll see the story of Joseph. This gives us a blueprint of a man's childhood days. It's a very significant, Joseph of many colors. He was preferred by his father, Jacob, because he was a child of the father's old age. So the father loved him so much, and he extended his love for him above the other children. and you know what that can cost. So I don't know how your childhood is. If you are your favorite of your parents, you know what that has cost you. You know, as a child growing up, you know it has cost you so much. So that is childhood days for you. What's your experience? You know, let's look at Joseph's experience in Genesis 38, 37, and read from verse 2. It said, Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers. Joseph was 17. The Bible told us he was 17. 17 is a very typical age for every child. Thank you for joining us. Please, as you stay, please keep the channel alive. Please, as you're joining, please make sure you like. And as you like, make sure you subscribe. As you subscribe, please share. As you are sharing, please, you are making this work we are doing here go viral. So I'm talking about Joseph. I want us to look at the childhood days of Joseph. Will we say his childhood days molded him, or he didn't mold him? Let's see, or what kind of tribulation did his child growing up as a child cost him? So verse 2 said, Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Ziba. Sorry, let me go to verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph, that is Jacob. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other sons. Remember, Jacob has 12 sons. You know, he has 12 sons. So he loved them. And Joseph was the child, was the first son of his second wife. We all know the story. Rachel was supposed to be the first wife, but because his uncle Laban played a trick on him and made him to marry two wives. You know, so Rachel now became but Rachel was the love of his heart. So, and Rachel, at the beginning, God closed her womb. She didn't have children. But when she began to bear children, she gave Jacob, two sons, Joseph and Benjamin. And the old man, had Joseph at his old age. And his whole love was transmitted on his son. That is given birth to by the woman that he is so loved. You know, he had two wives, Leah and Rachel, but he loved Rachel more than Leah. You know, so what happened? Now Joseph loved loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age. He's a son of his old age. And he made a richly ornamented robe for him. 4. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Do you see that? Some of us grow as a child in that level, whereby your parents prefer you more than the other. So you see, because of the love, imagine a man having 12 sons, and he loved the youngest, one of the youngest among all of them, and he's showing that love. But remember, we are still talking about childhood days. Is it a blessing or a curse? I don't know about how you grew up as a child, but I'm telling you today, my childhood days has molded me. I was raised by a mother that is a prophetess. Today, I'm standing as a pastor. So you see that my childhood days has also molded me. You know, it has put so much in me. No matter how the roughness of the edges that I went through, I'm still standing strong as a better person. So I give God all the glory. I don't know what your childhood days is. If it's rough, He has a way of molding you. If it is all smooth edges, He also has a way of molding you. So don't curse your childhood days, because it has molded you to become the adult that you are today. So remember, before we went on a break in transmission, I was trying to tell you, the childhood days of a man, a great man in Israel, in the person of Joseph. I want us to look at his childhood days. I was reading the book of Genesis 37 before we went on that short break in transmission. Once again, I want to appreciate everyone. Brother Tony, thank you for standing. Thank you for being there. You are there. Console Television, thank you for being there. I appreciate you. Please make sure as you are hanging out with us, make sure you go like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and at the same time, please share, so that work which we are doing here will go viral. I'm telling you, we are working for posterity's sake. Everything we are doing here is not for us. You see, this generation is going. We are the generation that is going, and the next generation is coming. So whatever we're doing it for posterity. So I was talking about the life of Joseph, Genesis 37. I will continue from verse 3. I said, now Israel is Jacob, loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and what? And he made a richly ornament robe for him. That's a Joseph coat of many colors. The man did not only love the child, but he went as far as, distinguishing that child from the other ones. So the father of Joseph, the passion and the love he has for Joseph did not do him well. Some parents, some children grow from that level. You think your father loves you so much that, like they say, you are spoiling that child. You saw him a coat of many colors, but we can see what that almost cost this boy. When you look at verse 4, say, when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. So Joseph, that was a brother, now became an enemy. Let's look at it from that angle. Joseph, that was supposed to be a junior brother, that's supposed to be loved by all the brothers, because the father has transferred all the love is supposed to. I know parents cannot have their equal love for all their children. There must be one that you prepare more. But I want us to see the mistake of how Joseph was growing here. The kind of love that the father showered on this boy was more of a curse than a blessing. But the father did not realize it. Because how can you love one child above 11 sons? Let's look at it from that level. How can you show your love for one child? The father did not even stop. He went viral. He went as far as showing Joseph a coat of many colors. At least he has killed this boy. And look at what the Bible said. He said the brothers hated him the more. So the more the father exhibited love for Joseph, the more the brothers hated him. So you see, that is it. I don't know what the childhood days are, but this is the childhood days of Joseph that we're talking about. Look at what happened in verse 5. Joseph, you see, let's look at the bone of contention in Joseph's life again. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. Joseph was a dreamer. Joseph at that time was a man after God's heart, a child after God's heart. He has a destiny in God. He has a destiny in God. He's a child that is going somewhere to show forth. The glory. Everyone look at him as a shining star. And that alone compounded the problem for Joseph. Joseph was not only loved, let's look at it very well, critically. Joseph was not only loved by his father and spoiled by his father, he has a call. Probably that was one of the reasons also the father would have seen, father they have inner eyes. You must have seen that this one is, thank you once again, welcome back on live. I was Joseph. You see, the whole thing that compounded the whole problem again, Joseph was a dreamer. Joseph had a special call in God, a call that the other children don't have. So you see, again, Joseph is being defined differently from the others. So you see, they hated him before because the father loved him and saw him coat of many colors. Now, it is discovered that Joseph has a special gifting. He's a dreamer. You as we go on, you see more about Joseph, what compounded his childhood days. Joseph was not just an honorary child. They hated him more because he's a dreamer. Verse 6, he said to them, listen to this dream I had. I want you to look at it very well. As you are growing up as a child, you don't have maturity. Was Joseph supposed to explain the dreams to his brothers? Look at it. The brothers hated him because the father loved him. Now they've seen that he's a dreamer. He now is expounding the dream that God gave him. That's one thing I want us to look at now. There was no maturity. He's being called into ministry at an early. He discovered his call at an early age. So there's no maturity to handle it. How can you tell your brothers again? Look at the dream he told them. Just look at it. He had a dream. He said, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field, when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheep gathered around mine and bowed down to it." Why will you tell your brother this kind of dream? Maturity should tell him that, no, these brothers, they don't love me. I should exercise maturity. But he told them all that he is. Look at it. His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. So you see, the hatred for Joseph was was growing each day. Every day is growing. Day by day is growing. Day by day is growing. Is growing. Day by day is growing. Every action that is surrounding his life is compounding the hatred that his brothers have for him. Look at it. Let's go on. Verse 9. Then he had another dream. Oh, you said the first dream, and your brothers did not like you. Must you share the other dream? Please, I want us to look at this again. Let's put a balance to it. If I shared my first dream with my brothers and they never liked, I shouldn't share the second one. But because of immaturity, he has to tell them again. But let's look at it this way. Destiny is calling. When destiny is calling us, there should be maturity in anything we do. But this is a child that is just growing. Remember, they say he's 17. He had another dream and he had the guts to tell them his dream. Then he had another dream and he told it to his brothers. Listen, he said, I had another dream. And this time, the sun and the moon and even the stars were bowing down to me. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, what is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in his mind. That is a father. So you see, Joseph compounded all the issues. Let's stop there for another day. But I'm trying to bring out something here. This is the childhood of a man of destiny. So you will see, when you go deep, you will know that Joseph was actually supposed to be killed. But because God again, we're looking at the life of Joseph as a springboard. You know, it was sold to Egypt. It was at Egypt, let me not go too deep into it. It was at Egypt that Joseph's life and ministry took another dialing tone. His life and ministry took a dialing tone. Looking at his childhood days, you will see that Joseph had a rough childhood days. I'll use my life as an example. My childhood days was rough. Look at Joseph's life, also was rough. So I don't know what your childhood days is. See, don't curse your childhood days. Your childhood days has a way of molding you. We're looking at Joseph's life. As Joseph found himself in Egypt, there's one distinctive thing I want us to see. He has a gifting. He has a special gift of interpreting dream. That dream he had that he told his brothers actually was what made him a prime minister in the Egypt, which was the America of that time. Egypt was the America of that time. You know, Joseph became the second in command. He was the second in command in a foreign land, a land that does not belong to them. It was Joseph that was instrumental to the Israelites coming to Egypt. That dream he had of himself actually came to pass. What happened? We all know the stories. At long last, his brother, when there was famine in Israel, the Israelites has to migrate to Egypt. Joseph has become the second in command. He was in charge of the foodstuff in that country. And what happened? The dream he had many years ago came to reality. His brothers were bowing to him. So I don't know what your childhood days is. I don't know how bad and how threatening your childhood days is. Joseph did not die in the process. Did you know that Joseph did not die in the process? I want to tell you something. A child of destiny does not die. If you have a destiny, a man that is called of God does not die. A child that carry a vision does not die. I remember my wife, when those days when we met at the rough edge of life, she would tell me a man of vision does not die. It's true. If you are a man of vision from childhood days, you will know that God has a way of protecting your life. Look at how the life of Joseph was going. The life of Joseph was going. God, oh, thank God for the network. Thank God you are still hanging on with me. If you are still there, the channel is Child Preserve Humanity, and this is Okonji Christopher sitting in. I'm sitting in here. Oh, thank you once again. I'm sitting in for Save the Education and Health of the Child Foundation, or Save a Child Preserve Humanity Television. And I'm talking about, is childhood a blessing or a curse? We're looking at the life of Joseph right now. You see, what looks as if was a blessing looks like a curse, but later became a blessing. At the end of the day, what people say is that no matter your life looks in the childhood as if it's the cause, God can at the end of the tunnel, there's light still shining in your life. I don't know you, one child out there that is going through situations and circumstances, or your childhood days have not been so rosy, and you are I'm telling you, God has not finished with you. I don't care what age you have. God can do something out of your life. Even Joseph, you look at it. Joseph like looks as if he's going to be forget you. God does not forget any man. God is a God of process, plan, purpose, objectivity. If God has started a good work in your life, He's able to perfect it. I'm telling you, God has not called any man to abandon him. I've not seen any project in the hand of God that was abandoned. You are going somewhere to happen, and you will not hit the rock. I'm telling you, Jesus Christ said in John 10:10, He said, "The thief cometh to steal, to kill, and to destroy." He said, "But I come to give you life, not just any kind of life." He said, "I come to give you the abundant kind of life." You see, you have to look at that scripture very well with so much disparity. The thief cometh to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But Jesus Christ came to give you life. Jesus did not only come to give you salvation, He did not end there. He came to give you abundant life. Abundant life is that you ending well. Abundant life, you are ending your life in the will and the purpose of God. Remember, Joseph ended his life in the will and the purpose of God. How is your life? How is your life? God is going to end your life is going to end well before, as you follow God. Remember, if you look at the story of Joseph's childhood days, he followed God, even in all the hurdles, in all he followed God. I want to just bring this one aspect. When he was tempted by Pharaoh's wife, Potiphar's wife, to sleep with her, he said, "God forbid that I do this, this shameful thing." Or there's a way to put it. He said, "God forbid that I do, thank you, this evil thing against God, not against his master." He said, "God forbid that I do this evil thing to God." So this man still, even when he's in his difficult time, he still relates with God. I don't know how your life is. He still relates with God. And terrible, terrible childhood days. It's a duality of life that Joseph had. His father was loving him, but that was costing him so much. That almost cost him his life. But God has a way of guiding him and took him to another land. Praise the Lord. God took him to another land and established him. So what am I talking about? Your childhood day. I don't know. I'm talking to someone out there. It's your childhood day. How do you look at it? Is it a curse or a blessing? I pause for you to answer that question. Is your childhood day, your growing day, growing up as a child, is it a curse or a blessing? I want to let you know. I will answer that question and tell you every childhood experience or orientation that you have while growing up. I want to tell you that it's not a curse, because God can turn a curse to a blessing. Look at the life of Joseph, something that was doomed to be destroyed, but God saw that. But there was a destiny in this boy. There was a destiny in this man. God was just patterning his life, taking his life from glory to glory to establish him. So I don't care what your childhood days life is, your childhood orientation has been. God is able to make something out of nothingness in your life. So if you hold on, I'm telling you, must I belong to a family? It's not a question we should ask. No, every human being you see on the surface of the earth came out from from a family. It is said that the family is the bedrock of the society. The society that you see ourselves today, the rottenness of the society you see today is a full-blown cause that started from the family unit. If the world is rotten today, fathers of yesterday and today have not done a good job. They didn't raise their children well from the home. I give you the distinction between a home and a house. A home is where a child should be nurtured with all the love that he needs while he's growing up as a child. So if we have a decaying society, a decaying world today, where our parents of yesterday have not done a good job. I don't know what part of the world you find yourself. I'm narrowing it to be like that because the world is rotting right now. The Bible says, it's a darkness. There's darkness on the earth, gross darkness, the people. So the family unit has collapsed. And it rightly said the family unit is the bedrock of our society. So there's something wrong with the family. Everyone that came to this earth, no one fell from heaven. You belong to a family unit, and you must pass through a family unit, and you must pass through a level of childhood. Everyone passed through a childhood, and I don't care what your kind of orientation you have while growing up. I'm telling you, the Bible says everything worketh for good. Thank God for that kind of childhood that you have. I don't know the one you have, no matter how rough it is. Thank God for it. We look at the life of Joseph. Look at the childhood days was tough, turbulent, but it ended well. I always use Joseph as an example. Maybe some other time we use someone else. So I don't know if you have gotten something you subscribe to what we are doing here. You give your heart to what we are doing here. Please, as you are going to go, please give a thumb up, and please, if I just join us, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and at the same time you share. Please, you are making this work that we're doing here go viral. And once again, I want to thank you for spending this quality time with us. I'm telling you, I appreciate every moment that you share with us. I just want to leave with you the passion and the dream and the vision God has placed in my heart. Once again, I'm Okonjo Christopher, and I'm a human rights activist for the child in the area of his education and health in all ramifications of the world. I'm an advocate. I'm advocating for a better Nigeria of my dream. I see this present Nigeria that we have right now is dead. Nigeria is dead and it's collapsed. This Nigeria has been taken away. But I believe in that new Nigeria, which God is a builder, maker, and founder, is coming. Please believe it with me. I'm always heralding it every day. I look at it. I look out for it. I believe in it with every ounce of blood that flows in me. I'm heralding it. Please help me to herald it. There's a new Nigeria that God is building. It's in our mix. Can't you feel it? Can't you see it? It's in our mix. It's in our mix. It's in our mix. It's in our mix. Thank you for being a part of this program. See you. Thank you. If you're just joining us, somebody's just joining us. Well, I just saw the name. You're joining us. Tessie James. You're just coming in. Sonny, while I'm just rounding up, please, thank you for joining in. You will catch us in the other side of life. Please, as we go on. Share. God bless you.